Okay, we're going to go ahead and do a little test. I'm going to have them have that on and see if this is up and running. We're a little bit early, but
right.
See what's going on here. Looks like we're doing just fine. Getting a little test here, making sure that everybody's stuff is up and going. Looks like we're doing okay. Looks like we are doing okay. Little test. I'm gonna have them. And if you have your phone on, Kirk, and you're going to look at your Facebook page or whatever, turn the volume.
Yeah, let me cut that off in case somebody calls me.
Yeah, you can at least just cut the volume down, and then that way.
I got the ringtone off. Let me make sure I get the message volume off. Trying to get the. Let me go here. I don't know where I'm at.
Nothing like live on here to get everything going and.
Then something goes crazy.
Yep.
Let me go settings.
You should just have a button on the side of your phone that just.
Well, I got the volume for the calls down, but if it sends me a message or text message, it'll still go ding.
Oh well, don't worry. We've had plenty of them, so.
Okay. Well, it won't ring through anyway.
It isn't that big a deal. So
there won't nobody ring through anyway. So we're ready. Whenever you get.
Well, we're about 10 minutes early, but while we're here, last night had some issues. This isn't the first. Don't think that you're the first one that's had internet issues. It's been something crazy trying to get all this done and everything. Lee Daldrell in Georgia. We got it up and going like at 7:02. He ran to a neighbor's, got another iPad. Of course, now he's out in the boonies, he said, so it was kind of tough for him to get service, and so it was pretty bad.
Right.
Then we've had Jake Darling in Georgia. It just wouldn't work, and we had to reschedule. So you're not the first one. So this is still new in its infancy. So
infancy. Well, that's good. At least you're getting the bugs worked out of it. So.
Well, I figured I'd use all you guys first to knock all the bugs out of it, and then I'd get the real guests.
Right, you can get some good guests in.
I can't have real people come on, and all this stuff happens. They think some
Jake Leg. That's right, some Jake Leg guy that.
Yeah, because if I get Blade or something,
internet show or something. Yeah, Blaze. Yeah.
Yeah, if I want to get Blaze on here, then I want it all going.
Professional.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, heck yeah. I don't want to have it all screwed up when I get a big
celebrity
like him.
Right. Well, at least you know what you're getting.
Yeah. I still laugh anytime I'm scrolling through pictures and I see that decoy with that head shot off.
That's really funny. Yeah, that's almost as funny as the orange head deal he was wearing when we were duck hunting.
Oh yeah, that was quite the deal.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's a duck hunter anyway. I don't say he's much of a duck killer, but he's a duck hunter. At least he can kill stationary decoys.
Well, he did do that, and that was funny.
Yeah. It's funny. I still owe him.
Did he not ever pay you for that?
No, I still owe him for that. So I'll get it back. It's coming. He's coming fishing with me, him and his wife, in August. So I think he's going to have to go swimming. So
for you early birds that are joining, it's not quite 7 o'clock. Kirk had some internet issues and yesterday, and so we were just trying to make sure that everything was up and going. And I thought, well, I'll hit the stream button now, and it just took off, and went to going. So now we're just going to kind of wait for everybody to join up because we're supposed to start about 7 o'clock, and we're just kind of getting caught up with some of the foolishness that we have done with his main man and lead guide, Blaze Early, over around Athens, Texas, when you was duck hunting. But I'll tell you what, you got to admit, though, that was a pretty good shot, him hitting that. What did you call that decoy?
That's a vortex.
That vortex, yeah. You had that vortex going on.
Yeah, that's, I guess, as good a shot as any of them we had during the shows. So.
Yeah, he shot the head off of it, so you got to
He didn't even have to use tungsten ammo for that one. He got that one with just regular.
I don't think we gave him any, did we?
No, we tried to keep that out of the hands of riffraff. So,
we're close enough here.
Putting that in the hands.
We're close enough right now, and we want to welcome everybody to the Fripp Outdoors Facebook Live podcast, brought to you by frippandfolly.com, as you can see there on the screen. Makers of some of the coolest, bestest outdoor t-shirts. I'm wearing one right now, and if it's anything for the outdoorsman, I mean, they'll make a pattern. And who knows, after this, if this goes well, maybe they'll have one with a big alligator gar on the back of it. It won't be as fancy as that one that you're doing, probably,
right,
with your own personal t-shirt.
Yeah, that's called a sublimation t-shirt. So it's like really it's, I don't know, there's a lot goes into it. So it looks just like a regular picture of an alligator gar on the side of my shirt. So.
Well, I'm sure that if after this right here, that's anybody's bucket list, this alligator gar. So who knows? Fripp may have a shirt with alligator gar on. I think that'd be kind of cool. Right. But anyway, yeah, this is brought to you by frippandfolly.com. Check them out on the website. I guarantee you, for whatever your passion is in the outdoors, they'll have some sort of t-shirt that just fits exactly what you do. Fripp Outdoors, where's your adventure? All right, today we have got renowned alligator gar guide, Kirk Kirkland, world's greatest alligator gar guide. Is there any, that's it, isn't it?
It's self-proclaimed anyway.
Well, you've established that. You literally have people all over the world coming to fish with you, so I would have to say you'd have to be the world's greatest. You're at least Texas's greatest, are you not?
Yeah. Well, I started the catch and release rod and reel fishing. Everybody else was shooting them with a bow and arrow, and I started doing it with European clients, and back in '99, and I had people from all over the world fishing with me, and then I started doing some TV shows in 2005, later in 2006, and that's when I started getting some, domestic clients here from the States. And then me and you did a couple of shows. Matter of fact, we did 5 or 6 shows, and I think they were voted the #1 show on the Sportsman's Channel by viewers a couple of times.
Yeah, we got the. I guess what it's comparable to is the Grammys. That's music, right? Or it could be Emmys. Emmys is TV. I guess comparable to the Gar show that we did was the, I guess the show of the year, or episode of the year, or whatever. And there was a lot of hoopla over that. That was a big deal. In fact, I don't remember if that was my first Sportsman Choice Award, but it was certainly fun to get it. I've got it over here somewhere. I guess I should leave it with you sometime.
You should.
So we should share custody.
Yeah, we should. It's our own child. So
we should.
That's a really scary thing to think of. But
I don't think it's going to get us very far in life.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I haven't had anybody beating my door down because I got it, but. You got it. I don't have it, but I haven't even got to see it yet. That's a bad thing.
Yeah, well, it's sitting over somewhere. I'll have to go grab it one time before the episode's over, just so you could at least see it.
Yeah. But
anyway, we got you here. We're glad to have you. I know we had some issues last night. You're having some internet issues. Of course, we've got a lot of rain and storms and stuff. Whatever you guys are getting is coming up and getting us too. And I don't think anybody that's ever had anything to do with internet knows that you're going to have issues, and it only goes out when you absolutely have to have it.
Exactly.
If you don't, but go ahead.
If you don't need it, it won't go out. So
no, that's
be,
fact.
All week.
That's a fact. But we had some issues with it, and that's just like with anything on these things. I mean, you try to do Facebook Live out on the lake or whatever, and next thing you know, you don't have signal, and that goes awry. That's the worst thing, and it always happens at the worst possible time because you got your best fish on, the light's right, there's no wind blowing in the phone, everything's just working right, and then you can't get signal and you can't get the live feed, and but anyway, tell everybody, Kirk, just how, I know you kind of started a little bit with some of the overseas customers or whatever, but really just what got you into the gar fishing, period.
Well, I was, my family was in the seafood business all my life. I mean, we've been fishing, and my dad was a bass fisherman, and he started catfish fishing, and we had quite a few stores that we sold seafood in, and we were catching alligator gar on the side just as a side, deal, and started catching them with friends, and had a couple of guys from overseas come in and wanted to catch them, and they had been trying to catch them, heard about us, contacted us. We took them a couple of times. They caught some big fish, and this was in probably 97, 98, and they told me that there was people all over the world that wanted to catch these alligator gar, and which, of course, I couldn't believe that. That's just a big old ugly fish, and why would anybody want to catch one of them ugly things? So they said if we put a website together, people would travel from all over the world to do it, and sure enough, here 20 years later, I am booked 7 days a week, and I'm fishing over 200 days a year, and I've got clients from every country in the world. It can be for a long week sometimes when they have no English speaking abilities, and I have no Japanese or Chinese speaking abilities, so Google Translator is your favorite friend. But it's been great. I mean, these fish, when I started, they were, everybody wanted to kill them, throw them out on the bank, bow and arrow. And I tagged over 3,500 of them for the state of Texas. I got regulations passed where you can only keep one per day. It's not enough. We need better regulations. We got the largest freshwater fish in North America here, and we have no protection on them. It's just, zero. Enforcement on the river. You're running up and down the river. You never see a warden. But this is a big state. We have a few wardens, and they have a big area to patrol. So that's the reason. But the fishing is getting. The fishing's always been good, but the what am I trying to say? The attitude towards alligator gar is starting to change. There's more people now that is rod and reel fishing for them. There's still a lot of bow hunters. You still see them all the time. And of course, the Trinity being the mecca of alligator gar fishing, there's people travel from all over the United States here to come shoot one of them with a bow and arrow. And I have people travel from all over the United States to come here and catch one with a rod and reel. And I went from, who would have ever thought anybody would want to catch one, to now I've filmed over 46 shows for them. Been featured in over 43 magazines for them from all over the world. I'm sponsored by numerous companies. Who would have ever thought that? Who would have thought anybody would ever give you anything to go catch an alligator gar? And my boat and truck's wrapped by Mustad, and that's a blessing and a curse, by the way. Now that everybody sees you running up and down the river, you're a floating billboard. It's kind of hard to hide.
Everybody's always said, well, why don't you wrap your truck and this, that, and the other. Of course, I've always driven white trucks, with the exception of my last one was a blue one. But I always tell them, well, it is. It's wrapped white. Because you can't. Unless that is your work truck, then, you're followed everywhere. Just like you said when we were talking on the phone the other day, people were asking for some of them mustard hooks.
Exactly.
And so you, not only do you have your truck wrapped, but now you have your boat wrapped. And, you're just I see why you're doing it, because you're a rolling billboard right there.
Exactly.
And that's part of the package. And you say, well, I can't believe that people would actually want to do something with a gar guy or whatever else. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there. You want to put what Kirk does and fish with for an alligator gar on your bucket list, because we'll get into some of the stories of how this stuff is and how it goes here in just a little bit. But, I mean, is there a meaner, harder fighting, craziest, biggest? I mean, you can't put what's that big old sturgeon in the category of a gator gar. I mean, come on. When you have the opportunity, well, all right, let me backtrack just a little bit. If you could just catch one 50 to 100 pounds, my God, think about that. That is a big fish. If somebody caught a lake trout weighing 70 pounds, they would just be flying off the handles, and they would think that's the coolest thing. So that's still a big fish. So I've caught a few of them, and you've caught a ton of them, or been around a lot of people that are catching them. And so you call a 100-pounder a baby. But, I mean, to 90% of the people out there, that's the biggest fish they'll ever catch.
Well, you know, this last year I had 154 over 100 pounds. I had 4 over 200. My biggest one this last year was 234. And this week I've had a 152 and a 190 the same day. Both had them both at about the same time. Today I had an 85-pound fish, and you know, it's just, to me, I don't even look. You know, I don't even take a picture of them. But it's the biggest fish that guy's ever caught. And you know, my deal is I catch fish. I tell everybody we're going to expect 3 to 5 bites a day. We're going to get 1 to 3 fish. It's not a numbers game. It's a trophy fishery. And you know, a fish can weigh from 50 to 120 pounds. Where else can you go in fresh water and catch a fish? Be pretty guaranteed you're going to get one from 50 to 120 pounds. There's nowhere. I mean, there's nowhere in the world you can do that. And,
and I mean, once you get a hold of one of those fish, it's like you're hooked to a jet ski.
Oh yeah, they jump and go crazy, and they got.
I mean, it's just the technique. Now you're still doing the same kind of technique.
Yes,
I'm talking about on the river. That's the only way I fish is on the river.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's the thing, boys. Let me tell you a little something. If there's 2 or 3 people out there that have not watched Kirk Kirkland on TV, whether it be on any of the shows, my shows, or YouTube or whatever, the whole deal is, I won't even get into where we put in. That could be an adventure in itself, depending on the weather. Holy crapola. Let me tell you, that one time we got down there, the mud was about 2 feet deep on that ramp.
Yeah. You almost slid me in the river.
And I have to winch, boat, truck, and all of me up on the top and winching him down. But anyway, hold on. Let me get over that. That's hopefully none of you guys will have to do that. But that added to the story. But then you're on this river. It already looks prehistoric as it is, and I'll let you tell a little bit about why I said prehistoric. So you don't want to put your bass boat in there. I can tell you that. You get in there. You've got your aluminum boat. We always had some sort of G3. Even if it was Uncle Bill's brand new boat, we christened that one year.
You really love
it. We about got a butt whooping on that. But what you do, what he does now, he takes off, and we cruise down the river, and we're going underneath snags, and we're dodging boulders, and like I said, now this river already looks prehistoric. I mean, you feel like that you're hundreds of miles from civilization. And of course, you have your holes, which there's several of them. There's community holes, and then some of your favorite places or whatever. And he has everything. He's already went and caught his bait, which we used carp and buffalo. You know, it's not like alligator gar just eating every crappie in the lake and everything else. But we'll get to that in a minute too. So his setup is, and I can't believe I'm telling this instead of you, but it was fun for me to the whole setup and how you do this. And so we have our spot, and of course he has the hook, and you just hook the bait through there, and it's just a little soft toss out there, not much of a toss out there. Of course, you're handling big equipment, and set it out there. And of course, it's got a float on it. The thing's about a foot long.
They're 8 to 10 inches. 8 to 10 inches long. They're still float.
So we flip this out here. So now on the bank, he sticks in these little rod holders, and go ahead and say, what are they called?
They're European bite alarms is what they are. They're used for carp fishing in Europe.
Okay.
And this system has just made my fishing so much easier.
You've got the one that the butt fits in, and then the one that the line goes through has a little beeper on it, and of course you click the release on the reel, so it'll just pull out. You don't want to have it locked down solid. And so you flip on the alarm on this thing, and as that line comes out, it beeps. So they're also color coded: blue, yellow, red, and green. Right? The primary colors. I'm assuming
that is the primary colors.
So we set out 4 of them just like that. They're lined up on the bank, and then we scat off somewhere, and we're just chilling out, eating cookies and telling stories and whatever else. Well, he's got the receiver for these said alarms in the boat. And they're color-coded as well, so you hear that beep, 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 beep. And, of course, that gets everybody perked up, And he's going, that's just, they're just messing with it, just kind of messing with it. But then when you get that solid tone, beep, well, he's taking line. That's when the adrenaline starts pumping. So you crank up the boat, you go over to the bank, you grab that said rod, because you know which color it is because of the receiver, how it goes off, and you pick this up, and now you just follow this float. This big, long, carrot-looking float just ease along the water and everything. And I guess they're going upstream with it, right?
Well, they'll go downstream first, and they'll typically go downstream till they kill the bait they think they've got to kill. And then when they stop, they'll sit there for just a little bit, and then they'll turn and go upstream, and that's when we set the hook.
And that's right. And when he says,
all right,
drop the hammer. And I'm telling you, I don't care how big an old boy are you, you can't drop the hammer hard enough. I mean, and when you got a good one, and I mean, if you got a good one, that thing will pull back. And that's when you know, oh boy, here we go. Because when it pulls the drag out on that big old reel, and that drag's just screaming, and what pound test are you using?
We're using a 150-pound braid, so I'm using WFT braid now. Yeah. The good thing, too, is, these fish jump a lot. You're sitting there holding onto this fish. He's towing an 18-foot boat with 3 people in it. And then, they get airborne a lot. They'll come out of the water and shake their head. And I've had them jump in the boat before, which is another nice thing to happen as long as you're not down in the boat with him. But it's pretty gnarly when he comes in there and shakes his head and then jumps back out the other side.
All right, now you think about this. Now, we're on a river that, most anybody could just chunk a rock across. It's not.
It's probably 150 feet wide.
Okay. Well, I was going to say about 30 or 40 yards wide, but it may be 50 yards wide. It's in some places.
Yeah, in some places, but a lot of the.
So now here you go. You've got this beast hemmed up in this small area right now, and it's not that deep. It's not like it's real deep.
8 to 12 foot deep. Yeah.
And like I said, you're in this 18, 20-foot aluminum boat. 3 guys in there. Well, I'm talking about 3 guys if we're in. Well, a lot of times you have 3 anyway, but it was me and Kirk and Eric. Of course, Eric doesn't weigh that much, but we still count him. And, man, I'm telling you what, when they take a notion to just lay on the bottom, I don't care who you are, you can't get them things to budge.
You also find out how good your equipment is when they lay on the bottom.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And you better not go with anything wimpy. I'm talking about everything has to be.
Well, we fished with a lot of different rods and stuff over the years, and I've actually developed a rod now with a Kuma. They've got my signature on the side of it, and it's just for gar and catfish. And I've took all the bad pieces out of them and took the good pieces from other rods, put them all together, and they're pretty good. Like I say, we had 190-pound fish so far on this year, and that's the thing. If you want to find out how good your equipment is, you can put it in the hands of me, and I'll either break it or tell you it's good. So
and we're not going to sit here and knock the bow fishing guys because there's a place for it.
No, it isn't.
Kirk, they don't tell how many you've shot, but as an
I've killed a bunch of them.
alternative and something that's fun, if you go out and you fling 14 arrows in this big old gar, okay, well,
He's
now
dead.
you got him, so what are you going to do with him or whatever? He's dead. Now, you fight this thing on a rod and reel. It's just you and him.
Yep.
I mean, it is a battle. I mean, it is a force of nature that I cannot describe to you guys clear enough to where you just can understand it. And when they get to thrashing on top, and it's just unbelievable. Now, think about this. This fish is so big that Kirk has to land the fish with a rope.
Yep.
Okay? He's got this loop in this rope. He runs through there, and you have to lasso this fish. And
we are in Texas, so.
yeah. And then that's why he's such a big old boy. You think that old boy, with the gator guy, chewed him, all that stuff. Kirk's been doing that just as long as them old boys has. I mean, that's why you get them big Popeye forearms. You pull in a few 100 to 200 pound alligator gar in a day, they'll wear you plumb out.
Well, it was funny because you wanted to pull one in one time, and you wanted me to hold the rod, and which I don't ever catch them.
No,
I don't ever catch them. Hang on, I was going to tell the story, but
okay,
I don't ever catch them. I don't care about catching them. I've caught thousands of them, and so you wanted me to take the rod while you put the rope on it, and I was giving you a pretty good stick about getting the fish off the bottom because you were taking your time getting him off the bottom. He wasn't even fighting at all, I don't think. But anyway. I got the rod, and of course I brought him right to the surface and got the rope on him. And no, he was fighting pretty good. And you got the rod on him. You got the rope on him, and then I think you struggled a little bit there to drag him over the gunnels of the boat. There, he was definitely,
Well, I mean, we're acting like this was one of the smaller gar. I mean, that was a great day for us. I mean, we caught
something like that.
We caught some really big fish.
Well, I think we'd already had two right there in that hole. It was over 100 pounds. I mean, just real close together. So
and I ain't even told the story about the one that got hung up in the brush,
up in the tree,
all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, he got to let me wrestle it and pull it up. And we're talking about I had a question here. What part of the country? We're talking about the Trinity River in East Texas. Now, the Trinity River, that runs from Dallas to the Gulf of Mexico?
Yes, sir. It runs from Dallas all the way down south to the Trinity Bay. It flows in between Houston and Beaumont and Orange. I'm actually based out of Trinity, Texas, which is 70 miles north of Houston. I fish the Trinity River from below Livingston Dam up to about 60 miles south of Dallas. Travel up and down the river depending on fish bite and water conditions. I'm the only full-time guide for alligator gar. I fish these things 7 days a week. This is all I do. I don't do anything else. I hunt and fish every day of the year. I've been fortunate to be able to do something I love. And, everybody says, I'd love to have your job, man. I love to fish. Well, I don't fish. I watch other people fish. And I help other people catch the fish of a lifetime. And the thing about it is I'm very fortunate to pick a fish that is the largest true freshwater predator in North America. And, we've learned a lot about these fish now. We're catching a lot more on lures. We're catching a lot more on fly. I had a day last year. I had two guys here from Pennsylvania. We're muskie fishermen. In 2 days, we caught 62 on lures up to 86 pounds. And you will never do that good on rod and reel with bait. I mean, you'll catch 3 to 5 fish a day. And it was just, but like I said, I'm learning more about them every year. And I filmed some shows with them for muskie lures. And like I said, I'm also a IGFA certified guide. I've been the #1 guide in the world, or the #2 guide for the last 4 years. I'm right at the top. I mean, I missed the #1 spot by 2 records last year, or 1 record last year, and 2 records this year. So, I mean, I'm right at the top of the whole list. I've got way over 100 IGFA world records. So if you're an IGFA chaser, I can take you and do that. I know all the rules and regulations. But the fish is The area we fish is very, very remote. I mean, you don't see hardly any boats in the area we fish. I fish a big 18-foot jet boat, so I'm I have a real comfortable boat. I mean, it's real stable. You don't have to worry about having your kids there. I have kids as young as 5 and 6 years old to catch these fish. They're not a fish like a tuna or something that's going to kill you. I mean, they're a fish that they do fight hard, but we have spinning reels which are user-friendly for anybody. We can change the handles from left to right. If you're not comfortable with on one side, we can flip them to the other side. And like I said, these fish are something that, with just a little bit of coaching, the most novice angler in the world can catch 150 to 200-pound fish. And these fish will be, even a baby, one of these I call a baby, that's a 45 to 50-pound fish, will be 4.5 foot long.
Yeah. And where are you at?
Yeah, the 190 I caught day before yesterday was 87 inches long. And you look at, when you lay a fish like that in the bottom of the boat, it's taking up 3/4 of the bottom of the boat. And I have people all the time that will call me and they want to take 5 people or they want to take 6 people in the boat. There's just not room for that amount of people in the boat. I can take up to 3 people comfortably because I can get those people away from the fish. Because when you first pull that fish over in the boat, it's pretty dangerous. I mean, he thrashes around, and if he hits you with that head, I've got several knots on my leg when I'm whacking me with their heads. They're not going to bite you. I mean, they're not trying to bite you. They're not trying to do anything. They're just trying to get away. And it's just crazy that, we were talking about the bow hunters a while ago. I want to just fill in a little bit of that. I'm not against bow fishing. I'm not at all. I think that our regulations right now are a little too stringent. A little too lenient right now, because we can kill. They can kill 1 per day, and we have a tag on our license here in Texas for redfish, and you can keep 1 redfish over 36 inches, I think it is, and then you can get a tag for an extra one. I think it should be the same thing on gar. I mean, if you want to harvest one, I think even your rod and reel fisherman, bow fisherman, whatever you are, I think you should have a tag, and then you should, if you wanted another one, you should buy another tag. Because these fish live to be, we know they'll live over 50 years. We've seen even 60 to 70 years old. And you take a fish like that and you kill that fish, you'll never replace that fish in your lifetime. So, I don't care what you do. I mean, if you're a bow and arrow guy, that's fine. That's great. Go out and kill you one. But do you need to kill 1 per day? We don't kill 1 white-tailed deer a day, I mean, it's just... if you kill a 150-pounder today, do you need to go kill another 150-pounder tomorrow? So,
Yeah, and what I told people when we did the show, when I closed out one of the shows that we did, the misconception is that, I mean, they get a bad rap anyway.
Right.
And that they eat everything.
Yeah.
Well, if they did, they wouldn't be there.
Well,
one thing, because
it's just like a lion in the pasture. If a lion's in a pasture and he eats everything in the pasture, the lion ain't in the pasture no more.
No.
Because he ain't got nothing to eat.
Yeah.
An alligator gar is just like any other predator. He's only successful about 50% of the time that he chases something. And he's going to eat the most, whatever there is, the most fish that's there, that's what he's going to eat. The easiest thing for him to catch. And so if there's shad coming by him, now I ain't going to tell you he ain't going to eat a crappie. I ain't going to tell you he ain't going to eat a bass, because he will. If it's in front of him and he can catch it, he'll eat it. But he's not going to target crappie, bass, catfish. And you hear people all the time say, oh, man, kill those things. They're eating all my bass. They're not eating all your bass. They're not eating all your crappie. They've been around here for 100 million years, at least. Obviously, the crappie population is very healthy. I see you and Uncle Bill wailing on them every day when y'all go out there. Now, I can't catch them, but I ain't no crappie guy. I couldn't catch them if you put them in a 5-gallon bucket and put the jig in his mouth. But that's beside the point. But, the misconception of them, I mean, a catfish eats just as much as an alligator gar does. I mean, he's preying on stuff too, and there's no, I think the biggest thing I tell everybody is, I think the biggest thing we have problem with is man. Man is the one that upsets nature. Man wants to stockpile something, and then he wants to eliminate something else, and then he sticks his hand in the middle of it. Well, Mother Nature then is not balanced. So, and that's the biggest thing. We need to, everybody needs to be able to utilize these resources. but we need them here for our kids, your grandkids, my grandkids, everything. And that's what I'm shooting for. I've been, and I've killed more of these fish than anybody alive. I mean, I used to fish them commercially, and that's how I learned how to catch them. But I realized if you kill these fish every year and you keep killing the 150, 200 pound fish, that's your breeding females. And these females only lay eggs once every 5 to 7 years. And so if you have a fish that spawns so infrequently, and they can only spawn during high water periods, and so if you kill those fish and they don't have any replacement coming on, then your stocks are going down. You're getting worse and worse and worse. And so it's something that we have to look to try to protect those fish, because they are a true treasure. Now,
you also tag these fish.
Yes, sir. I've tagged over 3,500 of them for the state of Texas. We did a population estimate on the Trinity River. Based on the population estimate, which, who knows what's underneath the water. It's not like in a pasture where you can go out there and count your deer or you count your cows or whatever. But they have a, scientific guess on how many's in the water based on what I catch and what I tag and what I release. And they estimate that they can take, so many fish per mile a stretch of the river to sustain the fishery. And it's really not, it's not something that is really, there's not a lot of pressure, I want to say, on taking fish from the river. I mean, there is some boat pressure, but that's just here or there. I mean, some of them are going to die anyway. And some of them are going to die when you catch them with a rod and reel. I don't care how careful you are with them. Mm-hmm. I've had them have a heart attack, I guess, while I was catching them, because you'd be sitting there holding her and she'd just gasp a couple of times and just open her mouth and be dead. And I mean, it's just crazy. No matter how careful you are with them. Now, the good thing about these fish is they're air breathers. So when we pull them over in the boat, they have a primitive set of lungs. So they're actually breathing air. They're not like a muskie or a pike or something that's real fragile. When you pull them over in the boat, you got to hurry up and get them back in the water. I mean, we do our best to get them back pretty quick, but there's something that that they are, since they're breathing air, you can hurry. You can take a little more time with them to take pictures. But it's trying to think. It's something that the average Joe. Now, this river is pretty remote. It's not accessed by very many roads or very many places where you can just drive down to the Trinity River and go fishing yourself. There's very few public boat ramps on the Trinity. There is 5 or 6, but the average person, when they see the Trinity River, you're not going to put your bass boat in the Trinity River in most places. Like up where I took you a lot of times, that river right there. I didn't run a jet for a number of years. I run a prop motor, and I think every time you were with me, we were running props. Mm-hmm. But it's not if you're going to hit something; it's when you're going to hit something. Mm-hmm. And because, as you know, there's rocks all in there. There's logs. There's blowdowns, and there's deep pools. There's shallow pools, and like I said, it is a unique river system in that when you get a river that's like we both said a while ago, maybe 50, 60, yeah, there she is, boy. That's Scott's big fish. I think that fish was 187 pounds.
You said that in the show, but
and then it turned out to be
calculations were a tad bit off when you did your ciphering.
Yeah. And she's close to 200.
Yeah, that dang thing was as big as I was.
That one was the one that went under the tree on us when me and you and Eric was fishing.
No.
Was that not her?
No, that wasn't it.
Okay.
We caught several really nice ones the times we've been. I think when we took Hunter, the biggest one that was right at 99
pounds, right at 99 pounds, yeah.
Now, he caught a bunch of them.
Yep.
We didn't really have, the 2 or 3 times that I went, I think it was just me and you a couple times, and then I think we had Uncle Bill that one time.
Yeah.
I mean, we caught some dang nice fish. I mean, while you and Bill were sticking around trying to measure one fish, I had that big mama on, And I said, guys, I got to do something with this fish. And you go, can't you just hold it for a little bit? I ain't even seen it. Is it very big? And I said, well, it looks pretty big to me. And so y'all kind of finally looked over. You go, oh my, yeah, that's a dandy. I'm like, yeah, no kidding.
we had to hurry up and get the rope on that one, drag her over in the boat. Because, but you know, you talk about that. I've had 3 over 100 in the boat at the same time. I don't know if me and you ever did that yet. I know we've had 2 over 100. Mm-hmm. But numerous times I've had 3 over 100 in the boat at the same time, and it gets pretty chaotic when you have that. But a fish like we were talking earlier, I mean, these fish, to come catch 100-pound fish in fresh water is a pretty good accomplishment. But if you give me 2 or 3 days, I can get it done for you. I mean, the only time you ever come and did that. But if you remember when Hunter Cole was here, y'all kind of shortchanged me on the hours because you didn't show up the first day till noon, and that kind of got me thrown off because I like to fish early in the morning. That's the best time to fish.
Yeah, that's hot.
When exactly. But when y'all showed up at noon, then you give me half a day that day to fish, and then the next morning I had to throw all my dice in one pocket, and we didn't take 100-pound fish, and that. I try to tell everybody when they come fishing with me, the people will call me and say, well, what time do we need to meet? Where do we need to meet? Well, whatever. And I try to tell them, we need to be there at daylight. I mean, we need to bid that first 4 hours from daylight till about noon is your best time. I don't care, you may catch 10 over 100 from noon to 2 o'clock when I leave, but your best time and your best bite is going to be from daylight till about, noon. And I think what happens there is that a lot of those fish are carrying that bite over from the night. Oh, look at there. We got a big old tomcat.
That's my boy Buster. He always has to make an appearance.
I seen he was playing with a snake the other day. That was pretty neat.
This cat has got to be the happiest boy anywhere.
I mean, he's living the life of Riley.
The world. He is such a good boy. I've never been a cat person. But this guy right here, if every cat was like him, everybody want one. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kirk. I'm sorry.
But I just like I said, to catch if you book a trip with me, and like I said, my season runs from April through the end of October. Actually, every year I always start like I started this year. I actually fished 3 days last month in February, and then I fished. I've already fished a week and a half right now. So, and I'll fish every day now until the end of October. I try to shut off, but the last year I fished till the 15th of November, and that's all. It always happens. I'll have people that'll come in. They'll be in town working or in Houston or something, and they'll want to, hey man, I want to go catch an alligator gar. Will you? Can we go catch an alligator gar? And as long as the weather's moderate and nice, we can catch them. And I mean, I catch them every month of the year. I even catch them in December, January, and February. But if you're here, that's why I don't book any trips during those months, because it can get so iffy. Our temperatures can get so iffy, and we can have some 30-degree days, and those fish are just not going to bite. They're going to get lethargic, and they're going to lay on the bottom, and they're not going to do anything. But what happens to these fish is in the winter when it gets warm, because we'll have Texas here, we'll have some 70-degree days in December, January. And they'll come up and feed. They'll come up and feed for maybe a couple of days, and then they'll go, dormant for a couple of weeks and stuff and not do anything. But April through October, these fish are on fire. I mean, they're just absolutely the best time to come get them. And like I said, I'm already completely booked all the way through the end of, I think I got 3-4 days left in July right now. I have a week and a half in August, and I have about 2.5. I might have 2.5 weeks in October. I don't think so. I think I have 2 weeks in October. But, I have people calling me every day that want to fish tomorrow or want to fish this weekend, So, I think a lot of other guides are not booked that much, But, my time, I'm already booking in 2019 now. So that's something that if you know when you want to fish, or if you don't like hot weather, that's why a lot of people book with me this time of year. They don't like hot weather, so they book in March and April. And so they get out of that really heat that we have here in June, July, and August. Because, here in June, July, August, which is pretty well every time you ever come, it's 106 degrees in the shade.
Yeah, which we don't ever hardly sit in.
Well, because you're catching fish. which is a good thing.
You
know,
don't
and
think much about it when you're wrangling a fish. When you look down, when you look down in the bottom of that boat, a 72-inch bottom, which is 6 foot across, and that fish is curled on both ends. You know you got a pretty good fish right there.
Well, you know, that's like we were talking about a 6 foot fish, and a 6 foot fish is just not even that big anymore. And you know, and it's funny. You know, I used to never do Facebook and all this social media stuff we're doing now, and I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I turned 50 years old this year, and Facebook has been a tremendous tool for me the last 2 or 3 years. I've got a tremendous amount of clients. I got a lot of people that follow me on Facebook, and before on my website and stuff, I never would take a picture of a fish unless he weighed 135 pounds because I didn't have enough room to put him on my website. Now with Facebook, everything that's 100 pounds or bigger, I'll take a picture of, and a lot of times I'll do a Facebook Live. If what I'll do, if you watch these fish when they're running, and I know you've seen it because you've been here with me before, and when they roll in front of that float, you'll see the fish. I mean, you'll actually see how big she is. She'll be a 100-pound fish or bigger, you know. Well, I'll start Facebook Live and maybe drag it out a little bit so I can get a few more people in there and not, you know, not drag her in the boat as quick. But you know, that's it's really nice. I mean, we get like the 2 guys I just had here the day before yesterday, first-time clients. That was their biggest fish they'd ever seen. One of the guys weighed 135 pounds soaking wet, and he caught a 190-pound fish. The other guy weighed 200 pounds, and he caught a 152-pound fish. And, you know, that's something that you can travel here and catch a fish potentially a lot bigger than you are. I mean, like last year, my 234 last year, the guy caught it weighed 185 pounds. So,
when
you know,
you fight a fish like that when he's as big as you in fresh water now and in this little river.
Right.
You know, that's the thing. Now, you also fish, you're just not subjected to the river. I mean, you fish the lakes too.
No, I fish Lake Sam Rayburn. I fish Trinity River, Brazos River. I fish Lake Falcon, Lake Joe Canyon. And I have fished these fish all over the United States. I mean, everywhere they are. I fished them in Mississippi River. I fished them in Mexico. I fished them in Rio Grande River, and lots of other places but you know, this Trinity River is just the mecca of alligator gar fishing. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's just people, like I said, people travel from all over the world to come here to fish with them. But it's not the only spot we have alligator gar. You know, I mean, the Texas has a lot of alligator gar all over. So,
man, can you imagine how big some of them gar are in Rayburn?
You know, I have had I catch probably, for the amount of time I fish Rayburn, I probably catch more 200-pound fish out of Rayburn than I do on the Trinity or something, because I only fish that lake 4, 5, 6 times a year, and I'll average catching 2 or 3 fish over 200 pounds. My biggest fish have actually come. Now, the biggest one come from from here in Lake Livingston in the Trinity River. I caught a 365 in '91. Was 9 foot 6 inches long. It had a 54-inch girth. But I've caught 5 more out of Falcon that was over 300 pounds. And they're, you know, you see pictures all the time on the internet. You see people with 14-foot alligator gar. I have people that contact me all the time. Oh, my God, we seen one bigger than our boat. You know, you didn't see one bigger than your boat. You didn't see a 16-foot alligator gar. The fossilized records of them don't support a fish much over about 9.5 foot long. You know, there's an occasional 300-pound fish. Yes, there is an occasional 300 there somewhere. But your upper size normally will be in that 200 to 240 to 250 pound range. I mean, and I catch, like I said, last year my biggest fish was 234. And that particular client has fished with me since 2005, and he's caught 2 over 200 now. And
well, they're unbelievable fish to catch. I mean, I can sit here and just tell story after story with just no more times than I have been there. And each trip is different, of course, and each fish is different, and it's something that you guys should definitely put on your bucket list. I mean, if you've never really, I mean, you can always hook one and you fight him or whatever, but to actually just go, and especially like to go with somebody that knows, you know, like you, and you have that chance, that a better chance than most that you're going to catch this huge trophy fish. And then, of course, you got to get in the water then and get your picture taken. You know, especially if you go in July, August, or September, because you'll want to get in the water with him.
You know, the thing about this is, you're handling a living dinosaur. I mean, these fish are 100 million years old as species, and you know, it's something that once you get here and see these fish, people are like, oh my God, is it Jeremy Wade? You know, they're going to bite me and they're going to eat me, and they're taking small kids off the bank and stuff like that. You know, and they're not going to do that. You know, they're not dangerous in any way. You can hold them in your arms, take any photo you want with them. I mean, you can look on my website. We have some pretty awesome pictures with them up on your shoulder. Matter of fact, you just showed that a while ago.
Yeah.
I have some people that are really, they lean their head way over to the side when I put that fish up on their shoulder. And they say, you sure it won't bite my ear off? I said, no, it's not going to bite your ear off. It might get to your nose or something, but it's not going to bite your ear off, so don't worry about that.
Oh, yeah, the old leaning up against.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Look at that. I mean, that fish is as big as me. You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
that makes an unbelievable picture when you.
Oh no! It looks like we lost him. Well, I mean, it's storming down there. I think you guys got the gist of it. We had a fun time with Captain Kirk. We want to thank the folks at Fripp Outdoors here that's sponsoring this podcast. This is the internet. It happened. We lost him last night. We couldn't get him in, and it's just one of these. It's just having crazy weather, and anybody that's had internet, that you guys know that there's the possibility of this will happen. But if any of you are interested in doing something with Captain Kirk, you can just get him on Facebook right there. That's about as easy a way as messaging him there. You can Google him, and I guarantee you're gonna find. I imagine if you Google "World's Greatest Gar Guide," you'll probably get him too. But it would be a lot of fun for you guys. That's something that you ought to put on your bucket list. You know, maybe going to have the opportunity to go fish with Kirk and aboard his Garfish enterprise. He's a great guy, as you could tell. He's a lot of fun. He's as good a dude as anybody you'll ever fish with. And we want to thank him for coming on here. I'll have to call him here in just a little bit to make sure that they didn't have a big storm rolling through there or something, because right now we've really got a big system coming in from Texas all the way up here to Missouri where I'm at. But hey, we had a big time. It was a lot of fun. Join us again next Monday. We'll try to do it again, and that's why we put "We Hope" over here on our banner that you see, because you never know what's going to happen. And just like you never know what's going to happen in the outdoor industry and the outdoor world out there when you're out there fishing and hunting, you guys be safe. Watch your top knot. Make sure you got your buddy 6. Be careful out there. And for all of us here at Fripp Outdoors, make sure you check out frippandfolly.com. Some of the coolest t-shirts ever. Make sure you shared this on your Facebook page so you guys have a chance to win a nice care package from Fripp. But I'm going to sign off. No reason for me to sit here by myself. We want to thank again Captain Kirk Kirkland for joining us. We had a ball, and we'll see you guys with somebody next week right here on the Fripp Outdoors Facebook podcast live.